it's Jessica Joy with This Is My Story, Solutions, because we're a solutions kind of people. Today I'm going to go over a few talking points for the Disentanglement Act. Yeah, you know, aren't you a little tired of the LGBTQ faith being shoved down our throats? Well, here we have the solution. Number one, my objection to the government's entanglement with the LGBTQ Secular Humanism is not based on bigotry, but on biology. That was number one. Oh, we're just getting started. Number two, the LGBTQ church is not about tolerance, it's about dominance. Number three, when a person says love is love, what they really mean is that they are perfectly okay with the government's assets being used to crush anyone who believes that homosexual orthodoxy is obscene, immoral, and subversive to human flourishing. Number four, what we have seen in the wake of Obergefell and Windsor judicial putsch is that people who are intolerant of intolerant people are tolerant. People who are judgmental against judgmental people are judgmental. People who are dogmatic and about being dogmatic are the most dogmatic of all. Oh yeah. There is hardly anything secular about secularism. The Establishment Clause was not just designed to prevent the government from respecting the edicts of institutionalized religion, but non-institutionalized religions as well. The next one. The government's endorsement of the LGBTQ ideology is the greatest non-secular sham since the inception of the American jurisprudence. The Disentanglement Act requires the government to get out of the parity marriage business and to disentangle itself with all policies that respect LGBTQ secular humanism ideology. The act itself, the act reflects the existing constitutional law. Number six, those who support the Disentanglement Act are defending the integrity of the civil rights movement led by Pastor Martin Luther King Jr. in the terms of actual bigotry. Hold on, folks, here we go. There is no such thing as an ex-black person, but there are thousands of ex-gays. For anyone to falsely equate the gay civil rights play, which is not based on immutability, to the race-based civil rights plight, which is actually based on immutability, is an act of fraud and racism in kind. That is racially, sexually, emotionally, and intellectually exploitive. If anyone is a bigot, it is the person who advocates for the government's entanglement of the LGBTQ church. Skin tone is genetic. Sexual orientation is faith-based. People of color used to have to walk to school right in the back of the bus and drink from a colored water fountain. To equate the two plights as if they were equal, when they were never, is an act of immense racism and unprincipled ploy that is deeply offensive to millions of Americans of color. Number seven, are you guys ready for this? Number seven, this is a bipartisan act, or it should be. I appeal to the legislators, do not think as a Republican or Democrat, but the supporters of the Constitution when it comes to this issues. Under Article 9 of the United States Constitution, all state senators and representatives and all executive and judicial officers are bound by oath or affirmation pursuant of Article 9 to make to not make or enforce policies that violate this United States Constitution. The act balances the Free Exercise Clause with the First Amendment Establishment Clause of the United States Constitution in answering the question of how the state must respond to marriage requests of all kinds that do not involve a man or woman, and how the state must react to self-asserted sex-based identity narratives that are questionably real, moral, and have a tendency to erode community standards of decency. It is not an anti-gay bill. In view of the Free Exercise Clause of the First Amendment, anyone in this state can self-identify as anything they would like. A ham sandwich, a unicorn, throw up your little glitters, have wedding ceremonies, and live as married people do, for better or for worse. So go ahead, marry another ham sandwich. See that unicorn down the street with lots of glitter? You can finance that glitter. You can pay for that glitter. You can put glitter on your certification, your identification cards that you're going to make, that nobody's going to care about. You can fund all of that fairy tale land. However, In view of the First Amendment Establishment Clause, the states can no longer enforce, recognize, respect, and endorse any parity marriage policy or any pro-gay policy because such policies are non-secular in nature and create indefensible legal weapons against the non-observers of the religion of secular humanism, while excessively entangling the government and the religion of secular humanism, eroding community standards of decency. This is pro-gay policy failed. That is, pro-gay policies fail the 3 prongs of the Lemon Test and therefore violate the Establishment Clause. This means no more legally recognized gay marriage, no more conversion therapy bans, no more government paid for sex change operations, no more government mandated pronoun changes, no more drag queen story hour for children in public libraries. Bye! Bye! Number 10, testimonies and amicus briefs filed as part of the legislative history provided by ex-gays, medical experts, licensed ministers, and the persecuted Christians demonstrate that there is no evidence of a gay gene and that sexual orientation is a mythology and an ideology that is inseparably linked to the religion of secular humanism, i.e. Postmodern Western individualism, moral relativism, and expressive individualism. Oh my gosh, we can't keep up with you. You're making us insane. Number 11, the United States Supreme Court recognized in Torcaso versus Watkins that secular humanism is a religion for the purposes of the Establishment Clause. Most of the federal courts of appeals have confirmed the same. Number 12, in the wake of Obergefell and Windsor judicial putsch, there has been no land rush on gay marriage. There has been a land rush on the LGBTQ Secular Humanism activists to infiltrate public libraries and elementary schools with a primary goal of using the government stamp of approval on their worldview to indoctrinate and proselytize minors. Yes. Number 13, while gay marriage is fake marriage, a marriage license issued by the state has amounted to the real license of the LGBTQ secular humanist activists to target, oppress, hang around, marginalize, and ostracize people who believe that homosexual orthodoxy is immoral, obscene, and subversive excuse me, to human flourishing. Number 14. It is a long understanding jurisprudence that emotional appeals and sincerity of belief cannot be used to usurp the Establishment Clause, no matter how much you cry. The push to entangle the government with the LGBTQ orthodoxy is based exclusively on emotional appeals. But our government is not a church, nor a redeemer that can be used to explain away the natural feelings of shame and inadequacy that come from putting the LGBTQ secular humanism principles into practice. Number 15, the Disentanglement Act is the bill that will overrule Obergefell. Stare decisis does not keep Obergefell from being overruled because, number 1, stare decisis at its weakest when the courts interpret the Constitution, and number 2, the Supreme Court has held the questions which merely lurk in the record, neither brought to the attention of the court nor ruled upon, are not to be considered as having been so decided as to constitute precedents. The Establishment Clause claims were lurking in the record but undecided in Obergefell. State attorney generals across the United States are prepared to defend this act. Bye!